Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about season 1 of The Empress. So before I do get into my thoughts and feelings on this, I guess, first season, hopefully we'll have more of the Empress, I don't plan on dealing with any type of spoilers that are like really specific to the show, but as usual with shows like this that are either period pieces or are like historical fiction based and they're based off of real people, I don't consider history to be any sort of spoiler. So some of that might be up for grabs in this particular video. But yeah, anything that's like maybe really specific to the show, no spoilers there. So yeah, let's get going, you guys. What is The Empress all about? This is a Netflix show that had 6 episodes, you guys. Oh my god, only 6 episodes. I really wish it had been more like 8 because there's a lot to cover, but we'll kind of get into that. Yeah, 6-part Netflix series. It is all in German. I love that. The German language is such a beautiful language, you guys. And you know, I took like 4 years of German in high school and then like another year of German in college. And you would think I would be able to speak German fluently, but that is, alas, not the case. It's like I'm fairly good at reading German, but yeah, like a German speaker speaking in German to me, no, I can't do it. It's like I can pick out words here and there, but yeah, I can kind of read it fairly well. But yeah, and this show, let me give you a plot synopsis. I feel like I'm digressing all over the place, you guys. What is the show about? It is, let's see, Princess of Bavaria Elizabeth arrives at the Austrian-Hungary court to support her sister, who is intended to be the wife of Emperor Franz Joseph. But once Elizabeth and Franz meet, Elizabeth's life is forever changed as she now becomes the Empress. Yeah, this is a show about Empress Elizabeth of Austria-Hungary. Yeah, her relationship with Emperor Franz Joseph and whatnot. And this show, you guys, it barely scratches the surface. Oh my goodness. Because I know the trajectory of Empress Elizabeth's life. I know where it's going to, where it's leading to, where it's ultimately going to tragically end. So it's like I have all of this knowledge of her historically kind of floating around in the back of my head. And this show barely even scratched the surface. It barely even made a dent into the history surrounding this time period. So hopefully we get some more seasons out of this, you guys. Empress Elizabeth did live to be, I believe, 60. When I was doing my research, I believe she did live to be 60. And yeah, this is kind of covering, I think, kind of the tail end of her teen years, maybe right into her early 20s. I'm not quite sure. So yeah, we got a lot more decades to go. So yeah, the show itself, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, guys, I highly enjoyed it. If you love the story of Empress Elizabeth of Austria-Hungary, I think this is definitely going to be right up your alley, your cup of tea. I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's really engaging. Um, and there's seriously never a dull moment, you guys. And with only 6 episodes, it is constantly moving, which I loved. There's never anything that's like filler. You know what I mean? Everything is needed. Every little thing is pretty much enhancing some aspect of the show, whether that's through the plot or the story or through the characters or whatever. Every little thing matters to some extent. Once again, 6 episodes. You gotta really use it. You can't waste it. That being said, I really would have loved if this would have been more than 6 episodes. I think this could have easily stretched out into 10 episodes, you know, getting more into the birth of like maybe her first couple children, at least, you know, and starting to really get into some of that really juicy scandalous stuff that kind of starts happening, and yeah, the kind of the destruction of her marriage that starts happening. Yeah, that rivalry between her mother-in-law, which they kind of just really don't get too far into in this particular season. So yeah, I'm definitely anticipating future seasons. Hopefully, hopefully we get more seasons, you guys. I'm definitely anticipating future seasons to really dig into some of the really good uh, stuff, all the drama and angst and yeah, Empress Elizabeth. I think she's pretty well known that she had a lot of mental health issues, and this show kind of really just hints and teases at a lot of that. There's a lot of reference to characters saying, "Oh, she's not normal. There's something up with her." Now the courts of Austria-Hungary, they're really getting to see the real her, whatever that kind of means, to them. Um, let's see. I think some of my favorite aspects of this show was definitely a lot of the politics going on, the court intrigue. I wasn't really so much into a lot of the stuff that was like more frivolous, if that makes sense. Like whenever there were like lengthy party sequences and people getting like drunk and getting all wild and crazy, especially whenever there were scenes with her brother-in-law Maximilian and whatnot. Some of those scenes felt a little frivolous to me, and it's like I didn't really care. It's like every time it's like I want to go back to the court intrigue, I want to go back to the court politics and whatnot. And sometimes the more wild and crazy party scenarios, it's like, get back to their stuff. But yeah, the court intrigue, the politics, this show definitely did very well, I think. I am not very totally familiar with like the politics of this particular time period within Austria-Hungary. My familiarity with the Austrian-Hungary court is really just through Empress Elizabeth. I have recently kind of found myself getting into her particular history, and I don't really know much like about the history like prior to all of this. A lot of that is kind of hinted at the beginning of this show, that there was recently some sort of coup, it sounded like. So I don't really know a lot of the history there prior to it, and I don't even really know a lot of it after the fact, other than what's his face, what was his name, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the guy who got assassinated that started, World War One, essentially. It's like that's kind of where it all stops for me in terms of the Austrian-Hungary court and whatnot. And yeah, I also really loved the romance. Elizabeth and Franz, they have just a wonderful romance, so much sexy chemistry. It is great. It is brilliant. Seriously, these two actors, gorgeous. Not a flaw to them. They are too beautiful for this world. um, and yeah, I think a big thing too about this show that I liked, and what I think this show handled very well, is just Elizabeth's character in general. They do a good job of fleshing her out, making her a very flawed heroine to this show. It's a story about her really trying to find her place in this court and within this society, and her really wanting to put her mark on it, really make a difference, but that's not working so much. It's about her trying to find her place and understanding her place. When is she going too far? And yeah, she finds herself in some trouble quite often throughout the show. People yelling at her and reprimanding her for things she shouldn't do, even though we, the audience, sympathize with her and understand her headspace and understand her good intentions. But sometimes her good intentions backfire a little bit, and she doesn't totally understand why. Because this court has its kind of rules. We can't do this, we can't do this, if you do this, it's bad. So yeah, what else did I like about the show? I'm sitting here looking at my notes, you guys. I'm trying to get through all this. The costuming, let's talk about the costuming, guys. The costuming was okay. I did like it. With shows like this, sometimes the costuming can be a little hit or miss. A lot of times, even when the costuming is a miss, a lot of times I still really like it because it's still really beautiful. The costumer does their job and it's still really beautiful. But at the same time, sometimes it can be too modern. I definitely had that case with this show, that the costuming, though beautiful and pretty, it is horribly inaccurate, I think. Just some of the clothes, especially the women, because I think a lot of times with shows like this, the men, they tend to stick to male costuming very close, I feel like, in historical period pieces. whereas women, they tend to go more crazy and wild. I think the male costuming was wonderful. It looked fairly accurate, I think. But yeah, as far as the female costuming, oh boy, definitely some liberties taken to make it have much more of a sexy appeal, a modern appeal. There were many instances the costuming was reminding me of something like from the TV show Reign. That show aired on the CW, and it was all about Mary, Queen of Scots. And on Reign, the costuming often looked like people went to their local mall and got some prom dresses. And sometimes that's kind of what this show felt like people went to their local mall and got some prom dresses. uh, yeah, the costuming was very hit or miss with me, though pretty and lovely. Yeah, horribly, horribly inaccurate, you guys. Yeah, I'm definitely curious your opinions on the costuming, if it was kind of distracting to you, because I found it to be kind of distracting sometimes. Like, wait, what is this piece of lace? What is this, like, shawl or something? Sometimes they're just kind of crazy to me. Let's see. As far as other aspects of this show, I think the locations were beautiful. I'm not quite sure where the hell they filmed. I'm assuming they filmed maybe in Germany or Austria or Hungary or something, to give it that nice aesthetic. I'm assuming they filmed in those locations. I might be wrong. But yeah, the locations were absolutely beautiful, giving it this lovely scenic element and really kind of immersing you into this time period and into this world. It doesn't look like sets. For period pieces, I don't like when things look like sets. I want it to look like they are at these actual locations, that they're actually in these palaces or mansions or whatever, or castles. I also think the writing and the directing was very well done as well. I don't think there was anything that ever came across as too modern or anything. I think the writing directing was great. And I think the translations as well. I am a stickler for translations when it comes to foreign shows. I do not like sloppy translations. I think the translations for this were very good as well. Nothing ever felt odd or peculiar to me. Everything had a nice, easy flow with the translations. Yeah, I've definitely watched some sloppy translations on other shows, and it can kind of take you out of it, like, what are they trying to say here? But yeah, definitely very easy to follow translations, things that made sense, a word structure that made sense. So that's a plus, definitely a plus. A very well translated show. uh, uh, yeah, I think, kind of going back to some of the writing and directing really quickly here, I think this show, The Life of Empress Elizabeth, because her life is very dramatic, you guys. Her life is very tragically dramatic. I think this show could have easily turned into like a bit of melodrama. If that makes any sort of sense. This show could have easily been melodramatic. It could have easily come across more like a soap opera, but I think they have a nice balance, with a lot of the drama and kind of infiltrating some of those more comedic elements in there. It definitely has a nice balance there, that it's never too highly dramatic and whatnot, over the top or anything. Let's see, what else do I want to get into? I guess some of the cast, you guys. I'm sorry if this video feels like I'm flying through it. I just really kind of want to get through it and give my overall thoughts and opinions on it. Let's get into some of the cast here. Let's start off, obviously, with Empress Elizabeth herself, played by Devrim Lingnau. Oh my god, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the romance between Elizabeth and Franz, and I mentioned they're both gorgeous looking people. Seriously, she is a gorgeous looking actress. I loved her. She looked like a cross between Jennifer Lawrence and Alexa Davalos. I think I have her name pronounced correctly. Seriously, look up Jennifer Lawrence and Alexa Davalos, combine them together. Devrim Lingnau looks like a cross between them, seriously. I really think she did a great job of capturing that spirit and essence of Empress Elizabeth. I think especially her early life. I'm very curious what this show intends on doing. Like I said, she lives to be 60, if I'm not mistaken, and they can't use this actress for that entire time. So I'm curious if we're going to have kind of what The Crown does, that every couple seasons there's a shift in cast. I'm very curious if this show's going to do the exact same thing. And yeah, Devrim could easily do the next couple seasons here. Like I said, she captures that spirit and essence, I think, of Empress Elizabeth. Yeah, she's a young woman, like I mentioned. She's a young woman who's trying to find her place in this court. But she's also someone, she's very independent minded and independent spirited, and she has her own thoughts and opinions, and she's still young. She wants to have fun also, and she doesn't want to be she doesn't want to be cooped up. She doesn't want to be told what to do. She mentions many times, hey, I don't want to be a puppet. Don't tell me what to do. Don't make me be the voice of things that you want done. And like I was kind of mentioning earlier, uh, this time period, because we still have all of these monarchies and whatnot, and there's all these rules and regulations, and she's a very modern woman to some extent, and she has good intentions that she wants to do such and such for kind of the poor and the less fortunate and whatnot. But because of all these rules and regulations put in place by the monarchy and whatnot, she can't do some things that she would like to do. And to the people, that comes across as bad, like that the monarchy is no better, that they're terrible people, and it doesn't matter the good intentions behind some of the things going on. I mean, there's an excellent sequence involving some shoes, you guys. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to really get into the spoilers here, but there's an absolutely amazing sequence involving just this simple thing regarding shoes that just totally backfires, with all of her good intentions in regards to this. But oh boy, does it get fiery and crazy. And yeah, once again, this time period, because this is taking place during kind of the mid 1800s and whatnot. This is a really tumultuous time period in history because monarchies are crumbling just every which way all around Europe. And yeah, over a couple hundred years, when you think about it, it's a very rapid crumbling of all these various different monarchies, and only a few come out at the end of the day. I mean, look at our modern society nowadays, present. There's really only a few monarchies up and about. And those are the ones that are successful, but even then, they're kind of collapsing and deteriorating too. So I really liked that exploration in this show. It's really, it's like live. It's a live wire going on, and these characters are really living in this moment. Like, oh, we got to tread carefully. We got to tread lightly, because if we do one wrong thing, our monarchy is falling apart and it's collapsing. Our way of life will slip away, and we all may be dead. The Austrian-Hungary court, they don't want to end up like what happened to France. They all don't want to be beheaded. But yeah, Empress Elizabeth, her place in that court is definitely really fraught, really angsty. Like, what do I do here? I want to do things. I want to be out there, show the people, hey, we care, because it looks like the monarchy does not care for the people, and she really wants to make a difference and be like, hey, we do care. I care, at least. So yeah, I really liked Devrim Lingnau's portrayal of Empress Elizabeth and kind of her role in this crumbling society, in a sense. And yeah, next up we have Philip Froissart. I think I'm butchering his name. He plays Franz Joseph, Emperor Franz Joseph. Once again, a gorgeous looking man. Oh my god, he is so beautiful, and his chemistry with Elizabeth, great. I loved it. But he was perfectly cast as well. I loved his portrayal of Franz. He's a man that I think the writing with him is very, very well done as well, because he's a really conflicted, complicated character to some extent. He wants to do good for his people, but yeah, he has all of his ministers and his council and whatnot kind of just getting in his ear, and this side wants him to do one thing, this side wants him to do another thing, and it's like he wants to do his own thing. He really wants to make his stamp on his place in the monarchy. And he's a man who he would much rather have peace rather than war, but there's that fine line, he has to kind of put his foot down sometimes. If he wants any sort of control, he needs to put his foot down, even if that does lead to war at some point, But yeah, his big thing throughout the whole season, he really would like to make railways, that's a big thing, the rest of Europe is kind of doing, and he feels like his country is falling behind, and they really need to kind of get on top of the railroad system. And he would much rather do that. He thinks that would be something that would be much more beneficial to his military, much more beneficial to his people. But yeah, here comes all these other things going on, because there's everything going on with France, everything going on with Russia. It's like, I just want to make my railways, man. um, I really liked Franz, and where he kind of was, you know, he's very complicated and complex, and he intends well. You know, he is definitely not a villain at all. He definitely intends well. He wants to try and do the right thing for his people, but once again, just all those little whispering people in his ears, he can't really be the emperor that he wants to be. It's like people are trying to mold him into what they want him to be, and he wants to kind of go the other way, which makes him and Elizabeth a really nice pair. They both don't want to be puppets. They both want to be independent and do their own thing and rule together. And yeah, you do start to see some of that slippage between them near the end of the season, where some differences are kind of coming into play and whatnot. Let's see, who else do we have here? We have Malika For Forhouten. I think I'm butchering her name as well. She plays Sophia, who is the mother of Franz, the mother-in-law of Empress Elizabeth. She is a strong-minded woman, you guys. She definitely knows what she wants, the direction she wants the country to go in, and oh boy, she sees all of her children as just absolutely weak, you guys. Because you definitely get the sense that the Austrian-Hungary court, they can only have male emperors. They can't have female empresses. That's just how their monarchy rolls. And you definitely get that idea that if allowed, she would have made for an amazing empress ruling and running this country. She knows exactly how things should kind of go, you know. And despite the fact that she can't be a female ruler, she still has great weight within the court. She still has a great voice within the court, and people still listen to her and support a lot of things that she wants. And like I said, she sees all of her children as just absolutely weak and pitiful. Like, hey, I need to be the one in charge here, not you. And yeah, her back and forth with Elizabeth and whatnot. Oh my god, so good. And I can't wait for this to get explored in future seasons, because there's a lot of drama that goes on there between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law and whatnot. This back and forth, especially with the children and whatnot, and who really gets to speak to Franz at the end of the day. Yeah, I really liked Sophia quite a bit. She's not a villain, you know, she's definitely not a villain, but she makes for a fantastic foil to everything Elizabeth and Franz are trying to do. And then, yeah, the last person I want to get into here, Johannes Nussbaum. He plays Maximilian, one of the younger brothers to Franz. Oh boy, I loved him. Once again, not really a villain, but a great foil to what Elizabeth and Franz are getting up to. The whole season is his big thing. He's planning a little bit of a coup behind the scenes, you guys. You get little bits and pieces of that throughout every single episode. He's kind of trying to take control and take charge and whatnot, and everyone keeps saying, no, you're not going to be good at this, you can't do it. And once again, his mother keeps saying, hey, you're weak, you're pathetic, get leadership out of your head. He definitely has ideas of self-grandeur, you know. He thinks very highly of himself. He's very egotistical. And yeah, he's a playboy. He's a party boy. Is this the type of leader Austria-Hungary needs? Hell no. But he thinks he is the leader that they need. Because, yeah, he has different factions kind of on his side that believe in him and trust in him. But other factions that are like, no, sorry, dude. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with France and with Russia, and where he thinks Austria-Hungary should be, you know, who he thinks they should side with, who he thinks they should be at war with, you know. But of course, Franz is the total opposite. So yeah, that's kind of the joy of the season. Will he get what he wants ultimately, you know, to some extent. So yeah, is that kind of it, you guys? I went through all my notes here. I feel like I'm kind of forgetting something. Overall, I highly enjoyed the show. It was a beautiful looking show, a really well written show, really well directed show, really well cast show. It's like just about everybody in the show is absolutely gorgeous to look at. Overly beautiful. Very important. Wonderfully translated. You guys, if you're a sucker for that like I am, it is perfectly translated. I never really felt like anything was like bizarre or anything with translations. And I'll repeat again, I really hope we get more seasons from this. I'm kind of hoping this will be like the German equivalent of the Crown, if you will. I'm hoping we'll have maybe this cast for a couple seasons and then switch over to like a middle-aged cast, and then end with like an older cast by the end, I guess. I'm definitely curious your opinions about this show. Were you familiar with the life of Empress Elizabeth prior to going into this, or is this your first experience with her? If this is your first experience with Empress Elizabeth of Austria-Hungary, I definitely highly recommend you look up more about her. There's a ton of amazing historical fiction out there about her as well. She's a really remarkable woman, a very tragic woman at the end of the day, if you know where that's going. Her story is really great. Her person, she has just such a really peculiar, eccentric personality, which I'm hoping the show kind of gets into some of that. But yeah, let me know how you feel about the show, whether you liked it, you hated it, things that worked for you, things that didn't work for you. Are you hoping there's more seasons? What do you think the next couple seasons might explore? This and that. So, you guys, that is it for my thoughts and my feelings on The Empress. In the comments below, as I already mentioned, let me know how you feel about this show, whether it was a hit or miss for you, things you loved, things you hated. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.